Hi friends, welcome back to Farm Girl Diaries. My name is Caitlin and we are in the kitchen today because it is like 95 degrees outside. It is hot, so we are inside. I did a big harvest this morning before it got too hot out, and so we need to process everything that I harvested. First and foremost, we have peas. So my water is boiling, so let's go over to the water and I'll talk to you about how I process my peas. Now we're gonna stay very close. The peas only go in this water for 2 minutes. Put it in boiling water, 2 minutes, pull them out, and then put them in an ice bath to cool them off. I have a ton of peas coming in right now. These are all the peas I picked this morning. I washed them and I cut the tops off and like de-strung them, whatever that's called. I took the strings off of them. I have a lot of food in my fridge right now, and honestly, when it's 95 degrees outside, I don't really feel like eating. Surprise, surprise, I love me some food, but I don't feel like having a big meal when it's this hot outside, and then my air conditioner in my house is fighting to try to keep it cool in here. So it's like 75, 76 degrees in here. Doing this with the water is not my smartest move, but we're gonna do it real quick, and then we're gonna be done. So I have all these peas and I have broccoli. I'll show you in a second. I have all of these that I can't eat right now. So what I love to do is I love to freeze them. Peas, these are snap peas. I'm gonna give them just another like 30 seconds. Snap peas frozen are not as good as fresh, 100%. But in the dead of winter, they are good. I love to roast mine, so what I do is you thaw them completely and then I roast them. Olive oil, salt, a roast at 425 for like 7 to 8 minutes, just until they start getting nice and brown and crispy. You pull these out. And then we're gonna get the broccoli in, and then I'll tell you why I do this. Because the question I get is, if it's not as good as store-bought, why even do it? So that goes quickly. So you only blanch your vegetables for 2 minutes at boiling temperature. You blanch them super quickly, put them in the ice bath or cold. I just do cold water to stop the cooking process. So get your vegetables nice and cold. I'm gonna let them sit in here. They are cooled down now. The peas need another little couple minutes. But then I'm gonna put these out on a cookie sheet, let them dry, and then I'll pack them for the freezer. So when I want to eat them, I defrost them completely, broccoli included, and I salt, pepper, olive oil, roast at 425. So the question I get is, why do I do this when I could just buy all of this stuff fresh? Well, I think right now, especially with the cost of everything high right now, the price of gas, the price of diesel, there's fertilizer crisis. If you're not sure, there's a fertilizer crisis going on, well, for us, but it's coming from the Middle East and from China. We're not getting the fertilizers that we typically get. There's a lot going on in the world. I don't think I need to go through the whole list of everything that's happening, but there is a lot happening in the world. So prices of everything are gonna go up, including your food. There could be a lot of the farmers, the big time farmers are saying there could be some shortages of some of our foods, just again because of this fertilizer crisis. You need fertilizers. Commercial farmers need the fertilizers to grow what they typically grow. So since there is a fertilizer shortage, and if it continues much longer, it might impact how much food the farmers are able to grow. So one of the reasons I like to do this is because I want to make sure that I have food security. I say all the time that I want to thrive, not just survive. And I want to be comfortable and full and happy, and I don't want to want for anything. So for me, I like doing this because this guarantees I have this food in my freezer. If I'm in the mood for peas one day and I go to the store and they don't have my peas, then I'm out of luck. This way it ensures that I have my own vegetables. Number two, it's much cheaper to grow all this yourself. My snap pea and snow pea plants are doing fantastic, and these were just seeds that I bought, but you can honestly save the seeds. Keep these pods, keep one pod, and there's like 6 seeds in here for next year. So you don't even have to buy these seeds. This is something that could be completely free food, and you continually just plant it, harvest it, store it, etc. As such, I typically just buy the seeds because I can't let a pretty good pea go to waste. So I typically buy the seeds. They're like $2.50 a pack. I buy 2, so $5 gets me an overabundance of peas. My broccoli, same thing. I typically buy 18 broccolis, and that gives me enough broccoli for the year. I get the big head and I get the side shoots. This year I did something different. I got broccoli rabe. And so broccoli rabe gave me a medium-sized head, but it specializes more in the side shoots. So far, I am nervous that my broccoli is starting to peter out. I'm hoping it's just because it's hot outside, and it's supposed to cool down a little bit, like go back to the 80s next week. So I'm hoping next week it kind of like starts to send off more shoots. But I'm nervous that she's already trying to wrap up, and I'm like, oh no, we're not done yet. So far, I haven't gotten what I normally get from my regular broccoli heads. So we'll see what we'll see. But I got my broccoli rabe, and I do the exact same thing. Broccoli is something you can obviously buy super cheaply at the grocery store. Again, this is mine. I know there's no chemicals on it. I know where it's been. I know who's touched it. I know everything about these, and I like that. I like knowing that I grew it. I like knowing that I know exactly what's in it. I like know or what's on it. I like that. So that was super easy and super quick. We're gonna drain these, and then I'm gonna put these to the side. You can flash freeze these, which means you put them out on a baking sheet in a single layer, put them in the freezer for 2 hours, get them frozen, and then put them in the bag. You can absolutely do that. I've done that in the past. I honestly, and I probably do too thick of a layer when I flash freeze, but I honestly don't see any difference between flash freezing it in a single layer and then bagging it, or just bagging it when it's dry. So I'm just gonna put it on a baking sheet, let it dry. And I also don't normally have space. In my freezer for a whole baking sheet. So this will do just fine. Now, neither one, the broccoli or the peas, holds up like it would if it was a fresh pea or a fresh broccoli. It is going to be softer and not as crisp. But with the broccoli especially, if you like puree the broccoli in like a broccoli cheese soup, you're never going to know. And the way I typically use this broccoli is I use it as like a side, and I roast it. And again, you can tell, but I think it's something that as soon as you get used to, it's just fine. It's not that big of a difference. And again, these are things that our grandmothers did before they had the convenience of the grocery store. And I like that. I like shopping my own grocery store and not having to rely on someone else to feed me. So I'm gonna put this to the side, and then later this evening I'll just put these in bags. The broccoli will be one bag. I like to portion myself off as like a serving. So this broccoli is definitely 1 serving of broccoli for me. And the peas will probably be like 2 servings. And again, in the middle of winter when all I want is a fresh snap pea, they do hit the spot. Okay, now the next thing we're making is dessert. So it's already 4:15. It's 95 degrees outside. It's miserable. It was supposed to be a massive thunderstorm this evening, severe thunderstorm. I think that's completely disappeared. So whatever. I already made plans though for the thunderstorm, so we're moving ahead as planned. So because it's so hot outside, again, my house is barely keeping cool. I say keeping warm. It's barely keeping cool. I think she's at like 77, 78 right now. I don't want to cook. I'm going to break that rule. I'm going to break that rule in a second. I have a little asterisk over here. I don't really want to cook. My microwave blew up in April. It's June. And I'm doing great without a microwave. Fantastic. But if I want to heat anything up, I have to use the air fryer or the stovetop. Now, I did just use the stovetop to blanch that broccoli. I should have done it outside. I didn't think that through long enough. So I don't want to like turn on the stove or do anything that's gonna like really heat up this house if I don't need to. So especially in the summertime when it's hot outside, I love to do like a charcuterie board for dinner. Cheese, pickles, beets, bruschetta that we canned 2 years ago on some toast, little toasts. Simple, cold finger food sounds perfect. But we are gonna bake dessert. And in my defense, I was gonna bake it when it was like storming outside, so there was a nice breeze to help keep the house cool. It's not storming, there's no breeze, and we're just gonna move forward. So what we're doing is we're baking a cobbler because I got my first red raspberries of the season. You can't really see them, I put blackberries on top of them. Got my first, they are down there, I promise, red raspberries, and I've been picking a whole bunch of my strawberries. So I have a bowl of my raspberries and strawberries, and I didn't have quite enough for a cobbler, so I pulled some fresh or some blackberries out of the freezer, and these are also homegrown, not by me. I picked them up at a farmer's market, but some fresh blackberries, some fresh frozen blackberries. And so we're gonna make a cobbler to go with this evening's dessert. And my plan was, I had this beautiful front porch and all the storms come in from like the back, so my porch stays dry during storms. So I was like, wouldn't it be so nice when it's done, or when it's storming, to have a cobbler and like a little whiskey and go sit on the front porch during the storm. I liked that plan, but now the storm is not happening. So we're still gonna make the cobbler and it's gonna be fine. So in a bowl, I have a 1/4 cup of butter melted. Because I don't have a microwave, I had to put it on the stove, and I did a brown butter instead of just a melted butter. That's gonna be fine. I actually think that's gonna be better than just regular melted butter. So you guys can do a brown butter too. 1 cup of sugar. And can we talk about how cute my new little measuring cups are? I'm so excited. So I've always had like brass or copper measuring cups. I loved them. I don't think I have any of them up here anymore. No, I loved them. The first ones I had like a wooden handle, and they were brass, and I loved them. They were rustic, they were chic, they were so cute. Loved them. I think I have one up here, I can't find it, but loved them. And then the brass peeling, like the brass cover, and started peeling. And I'm like, well, I can't use this as the brass is flaking off. So they got relegated to like plant soil scoops. Like they're out of here. They're no longer used for food. And then I bought these, and these were $5. And I loved these. Rustic. They're gonna last. What's gonna go wrong with these? My 1 cup, which is the one I use all the time, in between all the different layers, it started splitting, and now I can't use it for liquids. And honestly, like even like flour will get in there and mold. So the 1 cup of this has been taken downstairs, relegated to maybe like a rice. It's completely dry and clean. Maybe like a food scoop or something in one of my big buckets. No longer used for like wet food anymore. So I love copper, everything copper. I'm obsessed with copper. I have everything in my house is copper. So I've always wanted copper measuring spoons. So I was like, you know what, rather than keep buying crap that's breaking or flaking or whatever, buy the real thing. So I bought these from Sur La Table. I looked at Williams Sonoma, but their shipping was like $20, and I didn't want to pay $20 shipping. So I went to Sur La Table, and they were on sale. So I got measuring cups, I got the whole set, and I got the measuring spoons. So these hopefully should last me, hopefully now, until the day I die. In 100 years, because I'm not gonna hopefully die tomorrow. So the day I die, these should last. I finally paid money for good stuff, and it hopefully should last. So, and I actually didn't pay these were actually a gift. So that's exciting for me. I got like a gift card from my work. So, or I guess I got a gift card technically from my insurance. So I bought measuring cups. Okay, I digress. Back to the cobbler. So 1 cup of sugar in there. 1 1/4 cup of flour. 1/4 cup of flour. You could use self-rising flour, but I never have self-rising flour, so I just do regular flour, and then a tablespoon of baking powder, 1/4 teaspoon of salt. 1 cup of milk. Okay, before I mix, I'm gonna add just a little bit of vanilla, maybe like, that's a little bit more, maybe like a tablespoon of vanilla. And then mix. And then I'm gonna put my cobbler in this to bake. So butter it, spray it. This is just an olive oil spray. So I'm gonna spray it. Move that bowl out of the way. Okay, and then jump into here. And I'm gonna add my fruit. If this was really deep cobbler, you could flour your fruit by just like putting a little bit of flour in that bowl and dusting the fruit with the flour, and then it wouldn't sink into your batter. But this isn't deep, and I want those berries everywhere. That looks so pretty already. I'm so excited. Okay, my last ingredient, I'm gonna take some crystallized sugar and put some crystallized sugar. And put some crystallized sugar on top. It looks like it's melting, so maybe that wasn't the best idea. Maybe we'll do that again when it comes out of the oven. So I'm gonna put this in the oven for 375 for probably about 30-35 minutes or until it's done. So here's the before. I'm gonna go ahead and get all of my dishes cleaned up, but I'll bring you back when that comes out of the oven. But that was less than 20 minutes, and we have vegetables ready to go in the freezer, and we have a cobbler all homegrown, and I love that feeling. I think that's so fun. So I'll see you guys when it comes out of the oven. 35 minutes later, the cobbler is done. It smells amazing, but all the fruit is sunk. So even though it's shallow, flour your berries. But that's gonna be delicious this evening with some vanilla ice cream. I'm so excited. So that's all I want to bring you guys along for on this video. A little bit of work at a time really adds up at the end of summer. So I'm really excited to have that in the freezer. I'm excited to have this homegrown cobbler. It's going to be a good day. Thank you guys for joining me. I'll see you in the next video. Bye, friends.